I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
And I come to find out there's not that much Hollywood in Hollywood. The Hollywood in my mind is not the Hollywood in real life. I want to talk about things. If Bill Cosby is accused of sedating and raping all these women, and it's the number one story in the news, I want to talk about that, yes. You know, celebrity culture has, I think, collapsed at this point, and I think that's a death that needed to happen, you know, because the amount of excess, the amount of debauchery is stunning.
After 30 long years of guarding Hollywood's absolute biggest secrets, Rosie O'Donnell is finally breaking her silence. She is letting the entire world know exactly what Ellen DeGeneres was really doing on Epstein Island.
Both of them are ridiculous. Who thinks that antiquated way that you're going to find your love in a paradise island and it's going to last forever?
The moment Ellen's daytime talk show exploded in popularity, access to these ultra-exclusive elite circles became a reality in her life. Rosie watched the disturbing transformation happen in real time. She saw her friend completely cutting ties with the regular, everyday people who knew her before she was a billionaire. Ellen started running with a crowd that flew on private jets and attended secretive parties on hidden islands. Rosie knew precisely what Ellen was trying to achieve, but she stayed completely silent. Then, in 2004, Ellen went on Larry King Live for an interview. During the conversation, Larry brought up Rosie's talk show. This was Ellen's ultimate chance to stand up for her closest ally, but what she said on national television utterly broke Rosie's heart.
Larry King asked her, and Kelly and I were in bed watching it, and he asked her, whatever happened to Rosie O'Donnell? Her show went down the tubes. And Ellen said, I don't know, Rosie. We're not friends. And that was like one of the most painful things that ever happened to me in show business in my life.
Just like that, 30 years of friendship vanished in a single sentence. From that exact moment on, Rosie was completely done, not just with Ellen, but finished being silenced. She possessed dark, classified details about Ellen's hidden lifestyle that nobody else did. She knew about the unlisted trips, the secret gatherings, and most shockingly, the horrific reality of what was actually happening on Epstein Island.
I noticed right away there was a different culture about celebrity. Broke my heart to be in a business that creates and sells those lies for profit. You know, it was very heavy, to tell you the truth. And I knew in order for me to be a good parent to this 12-year-old child that I've got to be around for 20 more years. I need to take care of myself.
For years, Rosie just sat back and watched Ellen dance around on television. She watched her hand out lavish prizes and pretend to be the kindest, most benevolent person on earth. Meanwhile, the deep, agonizing pain from that betrayal never faded away.
The way she treated me must be the way she treats others. And I felt, very betrayed.
But last year, Rosie made a sudden move that absolutely blindsided Hollywood. She fled the country to Ireland, and once she got settled there, she dropped a massive statement on Instagram. Right next to it, she posted a glaring photograph of Jeffrey Epstein. That was her ultimate warning shot. It was her way of telling the world that she was ready to talk about Epstein Island while exposing every single person in that dark network. Ellen saw this coming and knew exactly what it meant. She knew the destructive secrets Rosie was holding. In a desperate attempt to play nice, Ellen publicly shared Rosie's post, writing, "Good for you, Rosie," after entirely ignoring her for 20 long years, rejecting their friendship on national television, and blacklisting her from Hollywood. Now Ellen was trying to act like a supportive friend, but the pathetic plan failed completely. The newly unsealed Epstein files started connecting dots that absolutely nobody could ignore. Ellen's name was permanently stamped in those documents. Suddenly, people were demanding answers to the exact questions she had spent decades making sure nobody would ever ask.
Ellen DeGeneres is named in the Epstein documents, and that part is real. Her name appears in the broader index of over 300 high-profile individuals that show up across the investigative materials. Flight logs, communications, third-party interviews, peripheral records.
When those explosive Epstein files were finally released and people started combing through them, what came out was absolutely jaw-dropping. Shocking testimonies emerged that completely shattered everything Ellen ever wanted us to believe about her.
The biggest common thread that everyone told me is that what goes on behind the scenes is a far cry from what the show represents in their Be Kind messaging and what the show and what Ellen DeGeneres herself profits off.
Every single day for years, she sat on that stage with a massive smile, telling people to be kind and treat each other with respect while spreading fake love and positivity. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, she was living an entirely separate, dark reality. She became so arrogant that she wasn't even hiding it properly anymore. In fact, the infamous Sandra Bullock interview segment is where things get really messy. During that exchange, Ellen and Sandra openly discussed a bizarre beauty treatment derived from young human skin cells.
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
And so we call it. I call it the facial, and I think when you see how good it is to your face, you too will run to your local facialist and say, "Give me the."
Looking back at it now, the truth is blinding. They were subtly hinting at these dark rituals on live television because they never thought anyone would actually decode what they were talking about. But they were dead wrong. Relentless researchers digging into this stuff also found a trail connecting Ellen directly to the infamous Wayfair cabinet scandal. If you don't know about this madness, let me break it down. Wayfair is a massive online furniture website, and for a while, basic industrial cabinets were being sold there for ridiculous prices. Tens of thousands of dollars for something that should cost a few $100. And guess what? The cabinets were mysteriously named after real children who had recently gone missing. Online theories claimed these were used for money laundering, but reports suggest it involved illegal human transportation, moving victims through these massive financial transactions. And Ellen was reportedly tied to all of it. Then there is the stage design. People went back and cross-referenced the actual buildings on Epstein Island with the set of the Ellen DeGeneres show. The architectural similarities are completely unmistakable.
Show him the image of the temple that was on the island. Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? The similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Ellen didn't just have a standard television studio, she built a literal replica of her dark sanctuary right there in Los Angeles, complete with the exact same architectural elements and creepy vibe. When Rosie started making moves and signaling that the truth was finally coming out, Ellen knew the walls were closing in. She understood that everything she had built and protected for 30 years was about to come crashing down. What followed next was pure, unadulterated panic. Ellen knew she had to move fast. She had been through public backlash before. We all remember when her show got exposed as a toxic workplace environment. She lost massive deals and top-tier sponsors, yet she casually called it being kicked out of show business like it was some minor inconvenience. But her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein's circle, that was an entirely different beast. This wasn't about being mean to her employees. This was something that could land her directly in front of a criminal judge. The clock was ticking loudly and she needed to act before the government could freeze everything she owned. Her bank accounts, her assets, all of it could be locked down at any second. So she resorted to the ultimate billionaire escape plan.
So I'm going to start selling some things that I consider art. Because, you know, they're art. It just depends on if you're the first to put it out. That's how you kind of establish something.
This wasn't some casual auction where you wait for the right price. This was a desperate, frantic fire sale. She was dumping priceless pieces as fast as humanly possible, begging anyone with cash to buy them. She rapidly moved $10 million worth of high-end art, including masterworks by Jean-Michel Basquiat. She also sold those custom sheep sculptures by François-Xavier Lalande, valued at around $1 million each. Selling that stuff must have felt like ripping out pieces of her own soul, but she had zero choice. If she wanted any chance of staying out of a prison cell, she needed liquid cash immediately. Her prized California Bluff-top estate went on the market and aggressively sold for a staggering $96 million. That was the major piece of their real estate portfolio in the United States. They were wiping their hands completely clean of the country. And the beach bungalow in Montecito was a whole drama in itself. Originally listed at $29 million, they pulled it off the market thinking they could get more, then relisted it at nearly $34 million. million, but as the raw panic set in and reality hit home, they slashed that price right back down to 29 million. They didn't care about making a profit anymore. They just needed cold, hard cash in hand.
And according to TMZ, she has moved 2 hours outside of London.
The moment they landed on foreign soil, they knew they couldn't just vanish without some kind of explanation. They desperately needed a cover story, something the public would swallow without asking too many dangerous questions. So Ellen decided to point the finger directly at the presidential election results. She claimed she was deeply disillusioned, that America had changed in ways she couldn't accept, and that she simply had to flee the chaos.
A source close to Ellen and her wife, Portia de Rossi, told The Wrap that the couple has placed their Montecito home on the market and have decided to relocate to the Cotswolds in England due to the political climate in the United States.
What an absolute bold-faced lie. The undeniable truth is that Ellen and Portia had actually finalized the purchase of their new house in rural England months before the election even happened. The entire political narrative was just a convenient smokescreen to hide what they were really running from. They weren't fleeing because of election results. They fled because they knew the Epstein files were about to drop, and they were utterly terrified of what would happen when the authorities came for them. Before any of this Epstein stuff even went public, the cracks in Ellen's perfect image were already fracturing. Honestly, that earlier workplace scandal gave us an alarming preview of who she really was behind the scenes. A preview that most people didn't take seriously enough at the time. Back in 2020, things began unfolding. Multiple investigations into the Ellen DeGeneres show revealed a workplace culture that was absolutely toxic. Employees described working there like being under an authoritarian regime. Staff members were actually strictly forbidden from making direct eye contact with Ellen herself.
One makeup artist was quoted as saying that when he tried to make small talk with Ellen, she supposedly said, "Who do you think you are? Don't look at me."
But here is the real kicker. Hollywood already knew exactly what Ellen was like. The second the story started leaking out, multiple major celebrities decided to speak up. Brad Garrett publicly confirmed that Ellen's monstrous behavior was common knowledge throughout the entire industry. Leah Thompson said the exact same thing. Margaret Cho, Dakota Johnson, all of them came forward to confirm that Ellen's behavior wasn't some shocking surprise or isolated incident. Everyone in that elite circle knew precisely who she was. Yet they all chose absolute silence, because that is exactly how the toxic Hollywood machine works. Nobody wants to be the one to speak out and find themselves permanently blacklisted. And the human cost of all this silence? This is where it gets truly devastating.
I just wanted to say the past 11 days have been really tough for everyone. But to honor Twitch, I think the best thing that we can do is to laugh and hug each other.
Steven Twitch Boss was the beloved resident DJ on Ellen's show for years. But when the massive workplace scandal broke in 2020, Ellen put immense pressure on him to publicly defend her. She pushed him to go out there and tell the media everything was fine, that Ellen was a wonderful, angelic person. Twitch's own wife, who has deeply looked into this whole timeline, firmly believes that kind of relentless pressure and stress played a massive role in what happened to him later.
He was going through so much and he was hiding so much, and there must have been a lot of shame in that, and he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone.
In December of 2022, the world was shocked by Twitch's passing. The show had ended, his daily routine was completely gone, and according to insider sources, he was still drowning in the aftermath of being forced to publicly defend someone he knew wasn't worth defending. Then there is the Anne Heches situation, a massive mystery that people simply don't talk about enough.
The second you hear that it may be coming, get out of the way.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't wait.
Anne was Ellen's high-profile ex-girlfriend, and in 2022, she passed away in a horrific car accident. But here is the terrifying detail that will send chills down your spine. Explosive reports started coming out revealing that at the exact time of her sudden passing, Anne was actively working on an exposing tell-all documentary, a project specifically designed to shed light on her time with Ellen and blow the lid off the dark, elite world she was a part of.
You broke up with her because she had a lot of money, or you broke up with her because...
I broke up with her because her goal was
was to have a lot of money, and mine was to find love, and hers was I want 60 billion. Good luck. Our forks are never going to meet. The further we stay on with this, the further we will be apart.
The aggressive way Ellen treated vulnerable young people on her show is genuinely chilling. Superstar Justin Bieber was hauled onto her show multiple times when he was just a child, and Ellen would ruthlessly grill him about his deeply personal life. She interrogated him about severe trauma and things that clearly left him visibly uncomfortable and cornered on camera.
I was just talking about just it being a new chapter for me, and basically saying that I'm sorry for the stuff that I've done. And it's not like I'm not searching for people's approval, but I just want people to know that that's not me, and I was doing stuff that wasn't me.
She knew precisely what she was doing. She was testing his boundaries, seeing exactly how far she could exploit and push someone who wasn't powerful enough yet to push back. And that wasn't even the worst of it. Ellen also maintained a highly questionable relationship with Diddy, constantly joking around with him on camera about his creepy, secretive lifestyle. People who understand how that underworld works openly allege that Ellen was basically serving as a literal gatekeeper, a connector channeling young talent straight into this dark elite world. She wasn't just passively associated with terrible people, she was actively enabling them by promoting them on her massive show.
Let's show a picture of you at, was it like a 70s themed birthday party? Or was that just a look that you decided to go with that night?
It was a 70 themed Soul Train party, but this is me once every first week of the month on a Friday night.
What are you holding there?
I'm holding my package.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
When media titan Joe Rogan talked about this stuff, he made a point that stuck with millions of people. He said Ellen's hyper-positive, nice act always felt completely forced, like she was performing a calculated fake act rather than actually being kind.
Ellen's rough.
Ellen is like
one.
an old.
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show.
He even described the unchecked, arrogant behavior running rampant through certain Hollywood elites, a dangerous sense of feeling that they are completely above the rules that apply to regular citizens. When you hear his words in the context of everything else, the entire puzzle pieces together perfectly.
When you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced.
So, while Ellen was actively hiding out in her fancy house in England, the Hollywood power structure immediately kicked into full protection mode. They flooded the media with heavily spun statements, trying to downplay the crisis by saying Ellen's name is in the Epstein files, but she was just one name on a list of about 300 people. They tried to brainwash the public into thinking it was all just a meaningless coincidence, but the fans are absolutely not buying the lies. And here is why. When you are part of a compromised elite network like that, your name being on a list is never an accident. Access is strictly guarded. You do not get invited to private high-security islands unless you are an active member of the inner circle. So this pathetic media minimization strategy, trying to bury an international scandal in technicalities and loopholes, is exactly what you expect from a system designed to protect its own people. Multiple expert analysts who study how these things work call it intentional flooding, deliberately saturating the internet with different excuses, fake narratives, and endless angles of defense. It is a psychological tactic designed to make the actual truth seem crazy. They want to exhaust you, confuse you, and force you to give up so you stop asking questions.
I don't think Hollywood's really ready for her return. I think they will continue to punish her, but I do have some intel for you from her current neighbors in the UK. They don't like her. They aren't friendly towards her, and they hate all of the celebrities like Ellen moving into this once sacred and anonymous area and disturbing and in some cases disrespecting the culture.
But no matter how many carefully paid off articles come out trying to alter the narrative, the truth cannot be suppressed forever. And that is exactly where Rosie O'Donnell delivers the final blow. By packing up and moving permanently to Ireland, Rosie strategically placed herself completely out of reach of the Hollywood corporate machine. She is completely outside their legal jurisdiction, outside their media ecosystem, and totally immune to the brutal pressure points they normally use to silence people. She has made it glaringly obvious that she feels absolutely zero fear.
And the beast we're fighting is not just that round guy in an orange spray tan. It's a big cabal of powerful white men, and it's time to end it.
When she posted that incriminating Epstein photograph and then held her ground against the massive wave of industry backlash, she sent an undeniable message. She was not going to be intimidated, and she was not going to back down just because powerful billionaires wanted her to stay quiet. There is something almost poetic about this whole disaster. While Ellen DeGeneres was frantically liquidating her multi-million-dollar art collection, desperately dumping her historic properties, and fleeing to another country in the middle of the night, Rosie was peacefully building a clean life somewhere that felt safe. Rosie proved with her actions that she wanted to live in a place where human decency still means something, far removed from the stomach-churning rituals, systemic corruption, and pathological lies. And that is the real groundbreaking story here. It is not just about what Ellen did or didn't do. It is about the fact that someone who knew the dark truth for 30 long years finally decided that keeping quiet was no longer an option, no matter how powerful the people she was about to destroy happened to be. Ellen DeGeneres, the woman who once completely dominated the most watched talk show time slot in daytime television, who had Hollywood eating out of the palm of her hand, and who built a massive empire on a simple two-word slogan, is now living in permanent, shameful exile in the English countryside. She is sitting in a secluded stone house in the Cotswolds, far away from the bright lights, massive studios, and adoring cameras that made her who she was. And the absolute worst part for her? She knows that no matter how hard the corporate media machine tries to spin this disaster, the truth is out. We do not have to wait for a formal court ruling, an official verdict, or some legal smoking gun to know exactly what happened. The undeniable evidence is screaming through her panicked actions. Think about it logically. Would a completely innocent person rapidly dump $10 million worth of prized art in a frantic fire sale? Would an innocent person dump their entire historic real estate portfolio and flee to a foreign country in the middle of the night, telling close friends they never plan to come back? Would an innocent person liquidate everything they own and run like that? Absolutely not. That is not what someone does when they are facing false accusations. That is exactly what someone does when they know precisely what they did and are utterly terrified of the consequences. The raw panic itself is the absolute confession. The corporate Be Kind brand is finished, burned to absolute ash. What remains is the ugly reality of what the Epstein files revealed, and there is no amount of public relations that can ever clean her hands. What do you think about Ellen's desperate, frantic attempts to hide her true identity? A massive circle of celebrities knew about her real behavior for decades, but stayed totally quiet. Who else in the entertainment industry do you think is completely complicit in enabling and protecting this dark elite world? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and hit that subscribe button right now for more explosive breakdowns.